Let me ask everybody here, have you had a good time so far today? How about that lunch? Was that not pretty spectacular? Well, I tell you what, technology is all around us, and there's technology in that lunchroom also. We have to figure out what it is, how, you know, what to order and what to do. When you go to Walmart, I don't know if you've ever noticed this, guys, but we had talked a little bit about supply and demand. If you go to Walmart and you scan something, they'll know immediately what it is. It triggers a system where they'll reorder that particular thing, so they'll know what's selling and what's not selling. And so the things that are selling, they'll make sure that they have it well stocked. Things that are not, you know, that they'll just won't be selling that there at Walmart. So technology touches us every day in everything that we do. I think one of the first things I'd like to ask the panel members is, what is it about technology that students tend to like about technology, and why is that? And here we go from Texarkana. Go ahead.
Think about technology and doing VEX in particular, any kind of robotics, whether you're IQ or you're on college level, it's just that you get the opportunity to get hands-on experience, touch all the wires, move all the tools, the screws, and get on the computer and program the robot to do what you want it to do. Let's say if you're doing video game design, for instance, you're making games that you think will entertain people, or you make a robot that you think will win competition. Just making something that will benefit your team or your organization or your country, even. So that's what makes robotics and any kind of really technology program, useful.
That's really interesting, because there's just so many different areas that technology can impact. And like you said, even things that would help your country. What were you thinking when you said that?
I was thinking.
Pull that mic real close or closer to you.
I was thinking about the soldiers over a war. They have robots, for instance, that can super mine detect mines, keep the soldiers safe. That sort of thing.
Well, there's no doubt that we live in a world that's just changing all the time. Have you all noticed that things are a little bit different today than they were even just a few years ago? It's true. Things are changing quite rapidly. Let me ask one of you guys. What is it that you like about going to school at your school and the use of technology in the classroom? What is it that you think of and that you like?
It's just it gives you kind of a sense of pride that you built something. And it makes everything a lot easier.
That's so true.
I would say it gives a lot of life skills, and it's really fun. You just get to build something with your own creation, and if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, go back and fix it, and you get to do it better. It's really just a lot of fun.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. Well done. Now, Gentry, the skills that you learn when you work on these, technological issues. I know when I said, okay, let's get student representative, everybody pointed at you. So, what is it that you think that you're going to be learning here that will be beneficial for you in the future? And would you recommend those kinds of things to your colleagues out here in the audience?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, technology, it's a lot of fun to just play with robots and the engineering part itself. But I think what draws a lot of young people, and especially me, is technology is communication. I mean, that's kind of the whole point. If you're solving a problem that you feel needs to be fixed, So I think more than anything, rather than just wanting to just play with the wires and gadgets, it's just find a problem that you want to fix, or find something that you want to communicate, and just take that avenue. Like the virtual reality, I think that's awesome. And that's where entertainment itself is going. So if you want something you need to communicate, VR, any problem you want to solve, I think technology is definitely a way to go.
I love that answer. Can anybody out here think of an issue, a challenge that we have in society that we might need to be thinking of ways to resolve that challenge? Okay, let's get over here. What do you think? What's the challenge out there?
Pollution.
Yeah, what's wrong with it? What happened?
It's pollution is melting down the Antarctica.
There is a big difference. Have you seen the pictures lately of the satellite projections and how the world just seems like it's melting? You're absolutely right. You think technology might be able to help us on that?
Yes, sir. Something that could stop a hurricane from happening.
Wow, that would be really useful. Definitely, if we can stop a hurricane, we can predict the weather and see what's happening. Yes, ma'am.
Something that can help people not pollute our house and all that.
Why would that be important?
Because we don't want our stuff to get trashed and all that.
So how are we going to dispose of our waste efficiently? Now, some of you members here, you heard some of these three things. Anybody have a comment on something like that, or what we might be able to do to address that from our panel members? Okay, you have one over here. Hold on.
Regarding
Get it close.
regarding pollution, which is just something that happens all the time on the side of your highway and your lakes, your ponds. And technology can get to the point where it breaks down the core essence of pollution. If it's a trash plastic bag or just some food that you tossed out. If we can use things to break it apart and make it reusable. And I'm not just saying, composting or just putting it in a dump, just quite literally breaking it down into atoms and molecules and forming it as something else.
Absolutely. If what comes to mind is plastics and the recycle, you know how everybody, or hopefully some of us recycle the plastic stuff or the cans. If you can recycle those and use that appropriately, not only does it take up less landfill, but you're reusing these materials and having them instead of being wasteful, have them actually be productive. So that's a really good thing as well. I saw a hand up here earlier. Yes, ma'am.
As far as recycling, my grandma told me that a few years ago they used to sell back the plastic stuff, and she said it used to be way less polluting.
And I saw a picture of the ocean, and speaking of the plastics, a lot of the fish are eating these little bitty plastic particles, and that is a bad thing, because then we end up eating some of that plastic stuff that's out there. So we have to really be careful to make sure that we do that. Your grandma's a really smart person. Miss Stacy, what can we do to expose our students then to this kind of proactive, kind of socially minded learning, so that they can be thinking in terms of not only learning the concepts, but being kind of socially and ecologically receptive in the learning environment? Then we'll come back to you, Mark.
Well, it's our responsibility as teachers to expose these kids to all of this stuff, to make them want to be responsible. I learned so much more from my students than I ever thought I would, because they are conscious of what's going on. They do watch the news, whether you think they do or not, and it's a burden to them. So it's our responsibility to give them the opportunities to find the answers, because my generation won't, but theirs will.
Ms. Aarons?
I also help oversee another group called Entrepreneur Club, and we were tasked at the beginning of the year to develop some type of business or some type of concept that we could take to market. Well, one of the students that I have, she decided that she wanted to find a way to possibly feed the poor without actually having to create more resources. So what she decided to do is that she decided to use a database in which local businesses, restaurants, grocery stores, things like that, can put in their information about when stuff may be expiring or maybe getting to the point where they have to get rid of it. And this could be taken to homeless shelters. Now, the thing is that whenever grocery stores get rid of food, it's not really bad. It has an expiration point on it, but the food is still good. So her concept was to take this idea, have a centralized location for it, and then let homeless shelters or the other groups that are helping to eliminate poverty to go there and then dispense food out to those that are in need.
That is so important, and I commend that just kind of thinking down in that area. Ms. Allison, when you mentioned your introduction, you said you had you taught a whole lots of different areas. Can you share with us some of those areas that you think that might be beneficial, that you would recommend that they get the skills here, so that way when we go to our next question with Dr. Ahmed in higher education, that they will have some of those foundational skills that they can use later, whether it be in college or in career? Technology and life, basically.
Life skills, what we found out in my classes are when we do robotics, we're usually in a group or a team. Well, they figured out that they have to problem solve and they have to learn to work with each other. Because what is somebody's strong point may be somebody's weakness. So when they work together as a team, they get so much more accomplished. And we know in life you're going to have to work with other people all the time who don't have the same skill sets as you, don't have the same interests as you, and things like that. But you have to come together at some point, and it really does help problem solving. Because you can get so tired of trying to figure out a code, and you can get it to your partner, your teammate, and they may say, oh, you missed this step right here. And you'll go, man, I didn't see that. And so it really, really helps, I think. When we work together, we accomplish so much more in life. That's even as a population we do. So teamwork, especially problem solving, working things out together.
Has anybody out here had any kind of projects where you have had to work as part of a team and to accomplish something, maybe to get a grade or to come to some sort of in-task resolution? Can somebody give me an example of, would like to share of what you did, and then just tell us some of the things that we're saying here. Can you tell us what it is that you were working on and how you were part of a team and what y'all were doing?
We were building a robot, and there was 4 of us, and we had to come up with what we wanted to do, and so we came up with our idea, and we had to whatever. 2 of us went and got parts, and 2 of us went and built it.
How fun is that? Did you have a good time doing it?
Yes.
Is it better than just learning in isolation or just by yourself?
Yes.
Do you think that's going to help you later on in life?
Yes.
I think that's really good. Yes, ma'am.
I also had to work in part of a group for a robotics project. I was in a group with the girls in my class, and we didn't know what to do first. We had a bunch of ideas, but we finally chose an idea, and we chose to make a robot that made peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
What?
Yes, sir. And so we were building it, and everyone wanted to do it, so we kind of split up into 2 parts. We had to make a slideshow, so 2 of us made the slideshow, 2 of us built, and then we kind of switched off like that. So yes, sir.
That sounds delicious. I have another one over here, and then I have a question that's going to follow up on this right here. Yes, ma'am. From our very first interviewee for today.
I remember in 4th grade, we had a day where an engineer came and taught us about engineering.
Was that like driving a train or anything?
No, we were given specific materials like newspaper, paper towels, and a lot of stuff that we didn't really think we could use. And she gave us one tip, was that triangle is the strongest shape. And we were supposed to build a table that would hold a dictionary. And so at first we tried all getting over each other and just building it together, but then finally we broke up into groups, and some of us put the paper towels together and some of them put it onto the table.
Were y'all successful in holding up a big old dictionary?
Yeah, our team won.
Yay! Congratulations. That's pretty awesome. So there's a that is fantastic. So there's a lot that goes on. Dr. Ahmed, you teach mechanical engineering among other things here.
Yes.
So what kinds of skills do these kids need to be concentrating on when they're in high school, junior high or high school, so that they can be successful when they get to your level, so that they can do the things that you're asking them to do? So number one, what kinds of things do you ask them, and then what kinds of things could they be studying for now?
The first thing I would say math. Math and math. Okay. Math and physics, they are the backbone of engineering. If you are very good in math and physics and science, then you are very successful in engineering. Because a lot of our engineering courses, they are based on mathematics and physics. And if you're in engineering, you have to take calculus 1 to calculus 3 and differential equation. And then you also need to have basic understanding in programming. And some of the things actually you're doing when you're building a robot and programming a robot, you are familiar with programming. So programming is also part of engineering. And also the hands-on experience that you're getting through these robotic activities, that's going to be very beneficial for some of the courses that you're going to be taking in engineering. For example, we have solid modeling and design. And what do? We design something. We design mechanical part, and we either we can use our machines like CNC machine, or we can use the 3D printer, and then make that part in reality. We design that CAD, and then we create that part through our 3D printer. So those kind of things you're going to be doing through your engineering, but you need to have basic understanding in math and science and physics and the programming that you have been doing. So these are very very, very useful.
So someone back over here, because we haven't gone through back here, but on have any of you thought how engineering might be something that you would be interested in? Anybody have thought about that at all? Or any kind of STEM? Okay. Now, would you think of how robotics might help get you there? Would you care to comment on that, sir?
One of the reasons I joined robotics was because one of my career choices in the future involves stuff that we do in robotics, like coding, engineering.
Now, coding is pretty interesting because once you build a robot, you got to make it do what you need it to do, right? And do you like the idea of doing that for competition?
Our team has won some competitions over.
Where did you guys go?
It's the best team.
Nice, nice. So, this is just for everybody. If you have the opportunity to actually have a challenge and to participate in a competition against other kids similar to you, would you be willing to accept that challenge? Let me hear a voice. Yes? You know what? We need you to be accepting challenges like that, because right now we're in a crisis. I was looking at some data just the other day, and what we saw is that the United States is kind of in the middle of the pack. I forgot where we were. Where was that, Miss Mandy? Where we were looking at that data? Oh, it was at the faculty curriculum. And the United States was not the top. It wasn't the bottom either, but it was somewhere in the middle of the pack where we need more students that are really honed in on science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And with an opportunity to do some competition in a particular area, that would really be important. Gentry, I want to come back to you over here because I know you guys have, in the kind of the earlier stages of building your robotics team, but what's the value of that for you personally, and how do you think that will help impact your school overall?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a lot of fun to be the first, like trailblazers, you could say, of a team. You know, the idea is like, taking you and saying, hey, join our robotics team and help us. And we were glad to win Rookie of the Year at the Best Robotics competition.
Congratulations, that's pretty cool.
And
how many other teams were there?
Like 25.
Wow.
So it's just a lot of fun, just to be the first to do something and just to build something from the ground up. Because you might not be the best or the champion just right off the bat, but it's just fun to learn for yourself, not just learn from the top, just hands-on learning yourself.
How about over here at St. James? You guys have the entire team over at St. James is really strong. Do you feel like that by participating in events such as the robotics, that actually helps you in your regular classroom, like regular English and math and science?
It teaches us about how winning is everything, and how to work in groups, and it teaches us how to use, like for coding, it teaches us how to use about math stuff, and it teaches us engineering.
I'll say something for an example. Miss Kirkland taught me that you should go from the bottom up, like I was fixing my Vex robot, and something was wrong with it, and we started from the smallest piece to the biggest, so it wouldn't miss anything. And I said that could help you in like math and other subjects. Start from the smallest problem and go to the biggest.
I love that. That's really good advice. Thank you, Ms. Kirkland. That's good advice for me too. Care to comment on that too, sir?
It really helps in other subjects when you're coding, for instance. If you're coding in Python, you can code your homework even. So multiplication, division, or advanced steps. So you could type in a couple of variables and the computer would have your answers like a calculator would. But it would be something that a calculator wouldn't be able to give you.
Very nice. Okay, so we're down to just a few more minutes left. I want to take some of your questions that you might have from the audience on anything that we've touched on or something that we haven't touched on that you would like to know more about. You have a wealth of information right here in this room. I always like thinking that we don't have to go somewhere to find solutions. If we just turn to our neighbors or we turn to our teachers or administrators, our parents, is that they can help us a great deal. So anybody have any burning questions in the realm of technology or education or higher ed, for that matter? It's not everybody all at once, so that's something. All right, let me ask this from our STEM specialists. Our science person over here, because I don't think she's ever met a microphone she did not like, and that's Miss Susan Johnson. Miss Susan Johnson, I know you have a love for the natural sciences. There's no doubt about that. But can you tell us a little bit about how important it is? When we use technology, we generate a lot of data. But can you tell us how important it is to look at this data and how that can apply to learning when they're generating their own data and for things like the ACT and just general understanding, and just share a little bit of your perspective on that.
Technology and data are wildly important in the natural sciences. In fact, we have a program here at SAU. We have a PhD here at SAU that's his doctorate is in bioinformatics, and that's where they use computers to analyze DNA, to sequence DNA, to analyze DNA, so you can study everything. In fact, there's so much information out there right now on DNA that geneticists can't study it fast enough. We actually need, in the natural science, armchair football players, right? You watch football all the time. We need armchair geneticists. We need people sitting around that know how to read these codes and find out about these biological organisms based on their DNA. So technology is a vital part, and we don't even get into the medical profession with scanning technologies, whether it's a CAT scan or an MRI or things like that. Technology is vitally important. preparing, using robotics and these kind of programs that we see here today to help with the ACT and analyzing data. The science portion of the ACT test is not science fact, it's science reasoning. And so it's analyzing data, solving problems, looking at somebody else's data and how they solved the problem, how they conducted an experiment, and analyzing that. And the fact that you solve problems all the time in your robotics class, when you read how somebody else did it, it can't do anything but help with that.
Thank you so much for that, because clearly, I think one of the last things that we'll end up with is that you guys are at the point where you're going to be taking your ACTs here. If you make it 19 or above, you start getting credit immediately from your, from most universities. If you have an 18 or less, you're going to have to pay for remedial courses that won't even count towards your degree. So it's really important that you get the foundational knowledge. Then you start getting a break at 25 for scholarships, and then another big chunk when you get to 30, and then I think it's 34, and then of course a little bit beyond that. So all this information that we're having here, the robotics, the coding, all the STEM activities, the ACT, all of these are really important, and all the things that you're doing right now today, I think can help you be successful. So thank you very much for coming today. Can we give a big round of applause for our participants?